Hey friends and neighbors, what do you say? It's Bill Press here in front of Lafayette Park, right across the street from the White House. As you might see, Lafayette Park is totally locked down right now because the president of Colombia is in the White House with President Trump. They're about to hold their news conference. As you can see by my attire, I decided I'd rather be with you today than in the East Room listening to the latest lies from Donald Trump. But I think this lockdown at Lafayette Park is kind of symbolic of what's going on with this Trump White House this week. It may not be lockdown, it is total meltdown. We've never seen a week like this for any White House probably since Richard Nixon and Watergate. I mean, yesterday Donald Trump's worst nightmare came through when the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, announced that he had appointed a special prosecutor, former FBI Director Robert Mueller, to lead the investigation into potential possible collusion between the Trump team and the Russian government. This is bad news for Donald Trump on many, many fronts. So let's just look at the cascade of crises for this Trump White House, and it's been one right after the other, starting last Tuesday when Donald Trump fired James Comey. The next day, when Donald Trump invited, because Vladimir Putin suggested it, invited the Russian ambassador and the Russian foreign minister to the Oval Office. And then we found out a few days later that Donald Trump had given top secret intelligence information to those Russians, which had been provided to us exclusively on a no-share basis by Israel. The next day, we find out that Donald Trump had actually called James Comey into the White House, met with him privately in the Oval Office, and asked him to shut down the investigation of Michael Flynn, which is nothing less than obstruction of justice. We found out just today from Reuters that when Donald Trump says there was no contacts between his team and the Russians, we found out today from Reuters that there were at least 18 times that the Trump team had conference calls and meetings with Russian officials during the campaign. And on top of that, now we have a special prosecutor looking into the Trump-Russia connection. It is unraveling fast. It's a downward spiral, and it means double trouble for Donald Trump. The special prosecutor means double trouble in this sense. Number one, it means that this is real. This is serious. Trump's been trying to say this is a nothing burger. The Attorney General does not appoint a special prosecutor according to the law unless there is reasonable suspicion of criminal intent and the need for a criminal investigation, number one. Number two, it means that this whole Russian deal is not going to go away. Donald Trump is trying to wish it away. It's not going to go away. It's going to be lingering for months, if not years, if the Trump White House lasts that long. You know, I got to tell you, I mean, up close in the White House, it's amazing to see how totally inept and incompetent they are, falling all over themselves. For example, on a couple of issues, let's take the Comey firing. I was at the White House, I was at the briefing where the first thing we were told by Sean Spicer was that Trump had not thought about this, firing James Comey. They told us that what happened was Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, came in to the White House.
They had come to him to express their concerns. The president asked that they put those concerns and their recommendation in writing, which is the letter that you guys have received.
Trump, according to their story, said, go back, put it in writing, come back tomorrow. They did. Tuesday, he looked at their memo. He decides then to fire James Comey. That's what they said one day. The next day,
I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not.
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story. It's an excuse.
It was the same thing with this Russian meeting. The day they had this Russian meeting and the story broke, or the story broke a couple of days afterwards, H.R. McMaster.
And I was in the room. It didn't happen. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
The next day, I'm at the White House, and the same guy, McMaster, comes out.
When you came out after the story broke, you said that the president did not disclose any sources or methods. He did not reveal anything about military operations. Why were you denying things that were not even reported? What the report said is that the president revealed classified information that had been shared by one of our allies in the Middle East. So the question is simply a yes or no question here. Did the president share classified information with the Russians in that meeting?
And as I mentioned already, we don't say what's classified, what's not classified. What I will tell you again is that what the president shared was wholly appropriate.
That morning, Donald Trump himself had tweeted and saying, I have a right to share anything I want, damn it. I wanted to share that information with the Russians, and so I did. So in case after case after case, let me give you another example. I talked on my show this morning to David Fahrenthold from the Washington Post, who just won the Pulitzer Prize for his reporting on Donald Trump, claiming that he wrote a great big check to the veterans back in the campaign, remember, and when he had never written one red dime. He had never given them one red dime to the veterans, and David Fahrenthold broke that story. He gets the Pulitzer Prize. He told me on my show this morning.
He said he's taken himself out of operational control of his businesses, giving it to Don Jr., Eric, and some other folks. And so all the businesses are now part of a trust, but the trust's only beneficiary is Donald Trump. And the terms of the trust say that at any time the president can take money out of that trust for any reason. So it's the same as owning them, and he remains the beneficiary. $1 paid to Mar-a-Lago is $1 paid effectively to him.
Tomorrow, Donald Trump leaves on an 8-day trip, which is fraught with peril. It's his first foreign trip, and it is huge. He's going to Saudi Arabia, he's going to Israel, he's going to the Palestinian territory, he's going to Italy, he's going to Brussels, and he's going to Sicily. And at every one of those stops, there's a ticking time bomb. He's going to go, get this, he'll go to Saudi Arabia, and he's giving a speech to a group of Muslims about Islam. This is the guy that wanted to ban all Muslims from coming into this country. How are they going to receive him? He's going to go to Israel, talk to Netanyahu after he just stabbed Israel in the back by giving the Israelis the secrets that Israeli intelligence told us, by giving them to the Russians, who are the mortal enemy of Israel. And then he goes to the Vatican, where Pope Francis has said he doesn't agree with Donald Trump on immigration. He goes to Brussels, where he's taken on all the NATO people and all the European Union people.
This was the week where they were supposed to be studying, where he was supposed to be giving tutorials on all this, where he's supposed to be educated on what is the EU, what is NATO.
I didn't even think about this,
And so all that has gone away.
He has no idea.
Wait. And he's not taking any of his national security staff who are the experts on this, he's not taking any of them on the trip with him. They're not going on Air Force One. Instead, it's Jared and Ivanka and Steve Bannon and Miller. So it's like the loyal cadre rather than the experts who really know what's going on. So you put all these factors together,
Joe,
and that's why I feel like I'm not really going on a limb to say this is fraught with peril, likely to be a disastrous
That's terrifying.
trip.
Everybody I know, including my wife Carol, says Donald Trump is not going to last a whole term, maybe not even last a whole year. I never believed that until this week. I believe it now. I think we're seeing the beginning of the end of the Trump administration. Even Republicans in Congress right now are saying they're tired of defending this guy. They think he's bad news. They got Mike Pence in the wings, so what the hell? I don't think Donald Trump lasts 1 year as president. I think he will be out. There's no question that in my mind, he's going to go. The only question is how and when, or how soon.